Hi, this is Dennis Kitchen. You're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
There's that sound, yo.
What up, yo?
Crazy. I like doing the show on a Wednesday.
Yeah. You're the one fucking it up in a couple of weeks.
I know. It's behind the curtain. My God.
Is it though?
It kind of is.
Why? Like our listeners, we switch between Wednesday and Thursday so often. My wife is always like, she's always like, oh, you're moving back to Thursday, or you're moving back to Wednesday, or you're back to Thursday. She's like, I can't keep track.
She's wondering, what day she should put the ladder outside the window.
Yeah, of course she is.
Oh my God, you totally dismissed that like the most impossible thing to never happen.
She's got a bum ankle right now. It's messing up our groove time.
Hey everybody, it's 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 874. Some awesome comics came out today, and I am an extremely happy Vince B.
Love to hear it.
Yes.
I am David A. Price.
This is facts, and if you're not careful, I'm going to equalize the fuck out of you because I'm Denzel Washington.
Jeez.
Oh boy, where do you go with that?
Everywhere.
You're not Denzel Washington. You're Jason Wood, everybody. Here, thanks to cheapgraphicnovels.com. That's right, cheapgraphicnovels.com have the omnibus editions, trade paperbacks, manga, all things with a spine, all that stuff you're looking for at a fraction of the price that everybody else is paying. And get this, Nick and Dent sale currently live. Crazy discounts on stuff. And when they say Nick,
I didn't know that really.
Shout out to Ray. Yep.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
I need books. I'm fucking having an existential crisis over how many books I have in my house.
I know.
Nick and Dent.
Well, I'll bring the truck then next week.
Dude, definitely I'm going to send you guys home with some stuff. I'm sending Dad home with the complete 8-ball.
Wow. You better check your drawers. Check your
I have 2 of
drawers.
them, dude.
I have all the single issues, or I would have to knife fight
Oh,
for
I'm
it.
saying I have 2 of them, though. How ridiculous is that? That doesn't make sense.
cheapgraphicnovels.com, Nick and Dent sale. What? Yeah, massive discounts on stuff. And when they say Nick and Dent, you know what I mean?
Paltry.
It's minimal at best.
Yeah, seriously.
It's crazy. I am not one to scour my books like when they come from Amazon or Cheap Graphic Novels because they always look good to me. But it's like I don't go over the whole spine and look for tiny creases. Life is way too short for that kind of stuff. But trust me, the Nick and Dent, you might as well just call it a sale. Massive sale.
Sure.
And after you order, you will be greeted by an email saying thank you for ordering cheapgraphicnovels.com, and you're going to respond to that email and say, you know what, 11 O'Clock Comics sent me, and you will receive free shipping on your next order. Well, how crazy is that? Shipping is like the most expensive thing these days.
Yep.
It rivals the price of the thing you order. Like, that's insane. I will not pay that much shipping. So whatever, I'm rambling. Just go to cheapgraphicnovels.com because you're going to save like a whole bunch of money.
Crazy mad money, yo.
I got a box from them today.
Oh,
Look
word?
at you.
Yeah.
Unstoppable. You're
Shit,
right.
they got the Once in Future Deluxe Edition
No.
Yeah.
for $30, dude. 50% off.
Yep.
Oh my God.
You need to get
do
closer
this
to
to
the
me?
microphone, my friend, too.
Dude, I'm right on
Not
the fucking
you.
microphone.
Not you, whipping boy.
I had my hand on my face, but
That makes sense.
it does, yeah. It's face radio. The
That's struck me as
when
funny.
I know that when I used to get things from Amazon, I would worry depending on the size of the box because normally they'll just throw it in there with maybe a bag of air and then just like good luck getting it to your destination.
Right.
But because I thought about it and normally I'm not on hardcovers especially, but on collections I'm usually not so worried about the cover, but I want to make sure that the spine is at least in decent shape for when it's on the shelf. The spines look good. Obviously, I don't care if they're pristine or if there's a scratch, but like I don't want a chunk missing from the bottom.
Of course. Now it's not like a
tear,
Daredevil artist edition.
No, I'm not even talking about. Oh, you mean the
Remember how that
this run where
it got all shitted up?
Well, there's the Bendis run of Daredevil where every single volume of the hardcover, the deluxe edition, is all the same font size and everything, except one, like the third or fourth volume is like all out of whack with the font. It's like longer than the rest of them. And then of course there's that Powers typo with Cosimic or Cosimic. But yeah, I like the spines to be. I'm more partial to the spines being in better shape than the covers, as weird as that may sound.
Yeah. Cheapgraphicnovels.com. Get there.
Yes, sir.
You heard. Blackberry lemonade. Let's move on. Because I figure we're going to be drinking like fish next week. So
yeah, I got a little grapefruit seltzer.
I am having a aviation gin and tonic.
Nice. Don't fly out the
Got you
window.
flying high, but bump.
That's right.
All right. Let's talk about the comics. Shall we?
We shall.
The book came out today. I know Jason is going to accuse me of hyperbole. Inevitably.
Oh boy,
he will.
Here we go.
But I don't really care.
Oh, train.
I don't really
Bump,
care.
bump.
Yeah,
Because if this doesn't win my favorite single issue of the year on the Closkers for next year, there's something wrong. Because the book is completely tailored to all of my sensibilities. All of them.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Did I not tell you that was going to be the case?
Yeah.
You did. Yeah. And I was going to get there.
Sang from the halls, Vince, if you don't like this and I don't know you.
Exactly. Because you did, you dangled the carrot, because I don't look at PDFs when we get them. We get promo copies from Dark Horse and Image and all the publishers, most of them. And I just don't look at them. Because if I'm going to read something, I want to read the physical thing. So when the cover...
We're so different that way, wow.
Yeah. The cover intrigued me because of what it is and the title. And I said, all right, I'm putting this down on my list. I'm getting it when it comes out. I want to read it. And I read it today in the flesh, in my hands. And it's going to be my most favorite single issue of 2023.
Well, hot damn. That's
Yes.
great to hear.
As you said, how could it not be? Because it is called The Midnight Show, #1. I hope it's not a miniseries. Please don't be a miniseries. I want this to be an ongoing. But anyway, it's written by Cullen Bunn, illustrated by Brian Hurtt. Yes, it's the Sixth Gun team.
Indeed.
Color art by Bill Crabtree. So what's the deal? What's the dealio with
It
this?
is a miniseries, by the way.
Damn it. The dealio with this book is a famous, world-renowned actor, writer, director, and makeup artist called Basil Saxon. Now, I'm looking at that name, and I'm thinking, okay, the Basil Rathbone, right? Could the Saxon be John Saxon? But that's a stretch, right? I mean, John Saxon's great, but he's not worthy of being in the same name as Basil Rathbone, right? But as we go on, there is a man to whom I would compare this Basil Rathbone, and we'll get there. So this Basil Saxon was shooting a movie, and it was said to be his masterpiece. But one day on set, a fire broke out. The studio was burned to the ground, and the film was apparently legendary, lost. Not so, because it turned up somewhere and is being screened at a midnight show in Cedar Bluffs. Now, one of the things about this movie, it's called God of Monsters, was that Saxon played all the monsters in the movie. And he wrote it and he directed it, did the screenplay, like everything. But it's not, so it pops up and they screen it in Cedar Bluffs. And the thing about it is, the place is packed, right? And the movie is introduced by a horror host. Like, shut up! My heart is thumping outside my chest when I'm reading this thing. A horror host. His name's Owen Oswald, but that's not by the name he goes by on the tube. It's Dr. Madness Morbid. Like, shut up! Did Cullen climb into my brain one night and just pick up all the good stuff? At this event, there's a scream queen in attendance named Abigail Jenner, and she's outside at a merch table selling 8x10 glossies and autographing them. All she wants to do is get the hell out of there, go get drunk. So the creatures that appear in the movie, the Wolfman, there is a Gillman reminiscent of the creature from the Black Lagoon. There's a mummy called Ramses the Vile. Whoa, right? The Frankenstein monster is in the movie, but here's the rub. How many times have you ever encountered someone talking about Frankenstein and they attribute the Mad Doctor's name to the creature? Oh, yeah, I love Frankenstein. Those bolts on his neck? Great. No, the creature was never called Frankenstein, right? The Doctor is Frankenstein. But here's a spoiler if you haven't read the first issue, but this is going to entice you to read it. Frankenstein's brain, I'm talking about the Doctor, has been implanted in the monster. Like, that's crazy. That's awesome. I need more of it. And Dracula's in the movie. But the monsters from the movie are emerging in real life in this Cedar Bluff town. And they're killing people. It's insane. Hurtt, I don't think Hurtt has ever looked better.
Yeah, I was going back and thinking about The Damned and The Sixth Gun, and I love The Damned. Like, that's as great as The Sixth Gun is. I always compare everything that Cullen and Brian do to The Damned, and this first issue, it's stunning. I love how it looks. It's just
Got tip the hat to Crabtree too.
Absolutely. Oh, especially when we get to the film, when we're watching the movie footage itself, and it's got the slightly different texture to it. It's an amazing issue. I think it's absolutely. I think it can very easily. It's only a miniseries, but it's. Listen, they already established themselves as a great creative team with their previous works. But I mean, this hammers the point home, and they've both I don't want to say improved, but they've leveled up so much over the years. Both of them. I mean, Cullen's writing, of course, but yeah, like you said, Vince, Brian just absolutely amazing on these pages. I'm right there with you when you say he's never looked better.
People playing at home, get this. The very first panel in the book. You open the front cover, this is what you see on the right-hand side. A monster mag called Creature Feature. A lobby card from The Many Deaths of Frankenstein. VHS tapes. A film reel canister. A ripped page from a trade press saying lost film located from Hero unearthed. There's a makeup book called Basil Saxon's Makeup Series Secrets. Now that made me think when I was a kid, Scholastic offered a monster makeup book. Remember when they would pass out the book order form like maybe once a month in school, and you'd check off the ones you wanted, and you'd beg mom or dad for the money, and then you'd hand it back in, and a couple of weeks or maybe a month later you'd actually get the books. There was a book offered way back when that was written and illustrated by Alan Ormsby. Do you know who Alan Ormsby is? You should know, because I've only mentioned this movie about a gazillion times. He was the man, with Bob Clark, responsible for Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. He's Alan in the movie. Did all the zombie makeup, whatever. But he offered a makeup book that had a blue tinted cover just like this book here. So right from page 1, I was bamboozled. I was done. Completely sucked into this thing. I could not resist. And it just got worse, well, better. It got better or deeper from there. Like this thing, there's a scene in the beginning that actually appeared in this Lost movie of the hero and his girl, and he's trying to get her out of there. And there's one panel that makes you think that maybe he isn't what he seems because his eyes are all reflecting and glowy. But there's a twist, and I won't tell you, because you should read this. But it's just so damn good. Like, it's just crazy how good this book is.
I'm so gratified that it's a 3 for 3 on this one.
Nice.
Because like I said, I read it. We got the preview. Like you said, you like the physical, but we got the preview from Dark Horse, and I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, because I knew that. It's interesting because I knew that Bunn and Brian were going. They're bringing back Six Gun next year,
right?
And I think they announced that at San Diego, and I was like, oh, that'll be great. Because I have to be honest, I mean, I don't know that I've read a Brian Hurtt comic since then. I assume he's been working, but I can't tell you what he's done in the last few years in comics. So I thought, oh, this is great. I've always liked Brian's work, and and they certainly have a great history together. And then I don't know that I even remember that this was going to exist, right? But then because we're coming up into October, and I get very horror focused in October, I thought, okay, saw the Dark Horse previews, and I thought, wait a minute, I'm like, oh, it's Bunn and Hurtt and Crabtree. I'm like, shit, and read the issue, and then, as you know, I went right into our Slack and said, hey, y'all, this book doesn't come out for a week or two, but when it does, y'all need to get with it with the quickness, because it's like very much in everybody's concentric circles around here. Like, you'll find something to like from it. And I agree. I don't know if I'll probably stop short of saying it's the best Brian's ever looked, because I don't know that he's like, I think he's been great for a long time, but I think it looks incredible, and I just love how clean his line is, and he definitely seems inspired in this. I agree that Crabtree's colors really pop here, and I loved it. I mean, I thought it was just the right amount of violent, and I think they're gonna have a lot of fun with this. And I knew you were going to have to read it, Vince, when the horror host did it. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah,
like,
that's early in the book,
any comic
too.
that's got a horror host is something Vince has got to get up in.
Exactly. So back to the actor, director, writer, the artiste to whom I would most compare this Basil Saxon. In the sequence where the men are hunting the Wolfman, the panel where the character has his back pressed to the tree and he's got his shirt ripped open and they're walking by with the shotguns. I'm like, God damn, that looks a lot like Paul Naschy. And I'm thinking, so this Basil Saxon played all of these monsters. What other actor played all of the monsters? And you go down the list, and it's like Lugosi, no.
Mm-hmm.
Karloff, no. Karloff played a lot. Lugosi played a lot, but they didn't play all the monsters. Paul Naschy played, of course, a Wolfman, very famous for that role. He played a vampire. He played a mummy. He played a hunchback. Never played a creature, though. I don't think, that one role, the creature from the Black Lagoon, that's never been attributed to a famous actor because you can't see the actor in the costume. Right. So they got stunt people. It's whatever. I don't want to get into specifics, but so Paul Naschy fits this role perfectly, except for the creature. So I'm wondering if Mr. Bunn is a Jacinto Molina Alvarez fan. That was Paul Naschy's real name. And
oh, really?
Yeah, he's incredible. The guy's just like he played all them damn monsters. And
I mean, we've said it many times, but it's 15 years and going. We should have Cullen on the show.
We were tight with him way back in the day, and then he blew up.
Like, there's no reason to, right? I mean,
maybe
he's
now
done enough comics that we could chat it up for a long time.
Let's get him on here because man, I'm not exaggerating. I'm really not. I read the issue twice. It just gave me that much joy from this issue. Like, it took 10 years off my life. Easy.
This is where friendships are interesting, because this was one of those things where, like, I read it and really liked it, and then I thought, oh shit, like, Ben's gonna love this. And then there's that moment where and I'm sure we've all done it to each other, where you're like, all right, I'm about to big this up and say you're gonna love it, and then like if they don't love it, it's going to hurt my heart. Because you're like, oh,
sure.
Because then you're like, I think I know them, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to pick this up, and then I was like, small part of me thought, oh, is he going to read this and be like, it's it's too tame or like it's too by the book, and I'm like, okay, I hope this is as authentic as it felt to me. So I'm glad.
I even see a little bit of Bruce Timm in
for sure
in Hurt's art.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I mean, let's do the checklist. How could I not love this book? It opens with a monster mag and monster movie paraphernalia. Then you get a Midnite movie, a horror host, a scream queen, the Wolfman, Frankenstein, the creature from let's just call him a Gill Man from now, the Mummy, and characters emerging into the real world. Like this, I'm powerless. I can't help but love this book on every freaking level there is.
Yeah.
This is a damn winner.
That reminds me, I've been meaning to ask you because you understandably gush because it also is in your wheelhouse about that first Elvira book. What's it called?
Oh, damn. I have it right on the shelf.
Oh, from Dynamite. Yeah.
Oh, no, I thought you meant her memoir. Her
No. The one you a couple months ago. You raved
Elvira in Monsterland.
Yeah.
And then Elvira in Horrorland.
Right, you raved about the first issue and all that, and then I haven't heard you mention it again. So I was wondering if you thought it fell off.
No, it just ended. It ended last week, and
right.
I finished it, but I want to go back and read it again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's silly as fuck, but it's great. I mean, that's another one that's a winner. And they announced the next one too. It's Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh my god!
It's like, get out of my damn head.
Like, all right, how do we appeal to the Vince B demographic?
It's Tony. Tony's telling them.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you want to make this even better? Stick some William Burroughs, Nova Express in there. Like, god damn. But anyway, let's keep it on topic with Midnite Show. If you're a horror film fan, Ray's going to read this. But if the Universal monsters thrill you, or European horror is your bag, hell, horror hosts, Midnite movies, like, get this comic.
Yeah, Ray's the other one that when I read this, I thought, oh shit, I got to make sure my boy here,
right?
Because I know he's pretty discerning because he's a man of many interests, so he doesn't buy nearly as many comics as say we do. But I was like, oh, this is something he's got to make sure he finds time for.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
yep.
Nice. That's a hell of a way to start off the week.
It's only going to get better.
Nice.
Yep.
Right on.
What else do we have?
First of all, before I talk about this, I don't know the status for you guys. Did either of you back the Moonray Kickstarter?
No.
I'm going to take by your silence answers. No.
No, I did not. No.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I would prefer that because if you had if you had also backed it, then I would have wondered if I had to wait until you read it, but you're not going to read it since I don't know that it hasn't been solicited in previews. For those wondering what the hell I'm talking about, this is actually a book near and dear to EOC history because first of all, it's called Moonray Book 1 Mother's Skin. It is a hardcover original graphic novel that was a Kickstarter. It is written and drawn by longtime favorite of the show, Brandon Graham. And the other artist involved, and this is where it gets really EOC-centric, is Mr. Xurxo Penalta, who some may wonder who's that because we've been around a long time. He was, what would you say that? I don't remember, but he was one of the first ever winners of our EOC annual contest. So, I mean, it was probably what, 7-8 years ago?
2013.
Okay, so almost 10 years.
2012, but he did the first few.
It's an absolutely beautiful, the blue one, the blue one.
Yeah,
absolutely gorgeous.
And honestly, I have to be honest, he hasn't been in our circle of influence in a while, so I don't know if he stopped listening. And then no shade at all. Like I know I reached out to him when I saw this book solicited, and he immediately wrote me back and saying, "Hey, great, it's great to hear from you," and all. So like, there's all love there. I don't know if he's like he hasn't chimed in on like an episode thread in a long time. So I'm guessing he probably has fallen off as a listener. But I still got mad love for him because he did some great work for us back in the day, just gratis before we had any kind of rep. But anyway, this and I thought it was just fascinating because I didn't know that he and Brandon had any kind of connection. And look, I didn't need Xurxo to be on the book to buy this because it's Brandon, right? I mean, I love Brandon Graham's work. But This is interesting on a lot of levels. First of all, it's and I didn't know this until I read the book once I got in my hands this past week. It is a adaptation of a yet to be released video game, which is super weird because like if you Google, why is that hilarious?
No, it's rare that it's a as yet unreleased.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant hilarious. Like we talked about this already, and I forgot or something.
No.
Oh. Yeah. So I like, and I didn't. If you Google Moonray, like all one word, you'll get articles and links to this aforementioned game, and it's a weird thing. It's like some kind of open sourced game that was crowdfunded, and it's got like a crypto Bitcoin type of an angle. It seems pretty out there. Like there's a lot going on with it, and allegedly it's right about to finally come out. It's been years in the making. I know nothing about this. I know we have some pretty hardcore video game dudes like Drummond and the like on the Patreon, so maybe they'll have some color they can add here. But I didn't really look too much into that part because it's probably not up my alley. But either way, it's somewhat of an adaptation, and I guess they're the ones probably footing the bill for this. But nevertheless, this is a chance for Brandon to do what he does best, which is create a crazy world full of just totally abstract, mind-bending visuals and concepts, and telling a story with it, right? Like it's not, and that is when he's at his best, right? Like he's not very. You don't want to read a Brandon Graham like linear like love story. That kind of defeats the purpose of the way his mind works. And it's very high concept. You know, there's this is it's many thousands of years in the future, and there are beings that have in some way evolved from Earth humanity, but they look like they're just don't look at. They're more like gods. They can survive in space. They don't look human in any way. I mean, there some have humanoid shape, but many don't. But they have immense powers and obviously longevity of life and the like. And it's called the Age of Mium. And even the choice of word is interesting to me because it's M-I-I-U-M, which if you think about that word or write it down or look at it and look it up, it's a hard word to read. As you read the word, you think you're reading it wrong because two I's together is such an unusual combination. So the whole book I'm reading this, I'm like, is it Mium? Is it Mayum? Am I reading it wrong? But it is Mium. It's two I's, M-I-I-U-M. And it's basically this like an embodiment of godness. And like I said, this is very abstract stuff. So I may not even be getting it all right because I read it in one sitting and just absorbed it, enjoyed it for what it was. But I accepted that there's probably some things that I may be getting wrong or maybe are up to interpretation. And essentially this is like a hero epic of sorts where this warrior is created from this Mium, like he's born out of this, almost like Adam's rib, and he's on a quest to avenge a goddess, and he goes on this journey through this crazy cosmic landscape of different worlds and different abstract realities. And at one point he comes across this badass giant red sword that he's using for a while, but then the sword evolves into a sentient being itself and becomes his travel companion. So this is at first I was reading it, I'm thinking, oh man, this is like Mobius Jodorowsky type of stuff, right? But then as I was getting more into it, I thought, you know what this reminds me of? And this will be right, both of you will pique your interest. This reminds me of like Trujillo, where you go for the adventure, it's visually arresting but also stunning, and you kind of have to accept that the narrative is somewhat
nonsensical.
Well, and this isn't nonsensical. That's why I say like it's kind of like if there's a sliding scale between, let's say, in this world of abstract European comics, let's say the Inkle is on one side of the scale and like, whatever the wackiest Trujillo is on the other side of the scale. It's sort of in the middle of that. Like right. There are concepts. They do definitely make sense on some level. But like I said, but I don't know that I got it all. I didn't come away thinking, I have perfect clarity as to what Brandon's going for here. But I didn't care because the visuals are so amazing. And what was really cool is that I'm reading it, and a lot of it, I mean, it's mostly drawn by Brandon. I'm thinking, where's Xurxo come in? And then like they'll have these flashbacks or like these handbook pages or these like information file pages or these history scenes, and it'll be these double page painted gorgeous scapes by Xurxo. And his style is so different from Brandon's, and it works so well in that context because you never doubt that this is an aside of some importance, but it's not the ongoing narrative that we're kind of embedded in. And I'm just so impressed with Xurxo's art. I mean, again, we've known him forever, but I don't know that I've seen a lot of his work in the last few years. And man, oh man, I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's this super lush painted stuff, and it really did truly like if this was a Humanoids 1970s English translated hardcover that I ordered because out of curiosity, and I found that the book was made in like 72 by some European great, I wouldn't be surprised. Like visually, it's of that ilk. You know, it looks like that kind of thing. Like it could have been in Metal Hurlant, right, or heavy metal. It's great, man. It's really great. At the simplest level, if you're a fan of Brandon Graham comics, you'll love this, right? But beyond that, I do want to say to people, if you're not that familiar with Graham, or if maybe you're hit and miss with Graham, because sometimes he is like, kind of overly sexual, puerile stuff, right? Like that's also like part of, sometimes he gets pretty silly, and I love that about him too. This is not that, like there's not like any like, there's none of like the, there's no sophomoric stuff in this, right? Like it's pretty like epic action sci-fi. So if you're kind of on the fence about Brandon because of the other side of it, I would say you're going to be good here. And the litmus test would be if you're a fan of Drurier or Jodorowsky or some of the Mobius stuff. Like I really think you'd enjoy this. So huge home run. And I will say it is labeled as book 1, so I presume if it sells well and maybe if the video game's a hit, there'll be more of this, and I'm here for it. But even if it's not, it's a fully contained story for what it is, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, the visuals are just off the charts. So I don't honestly know if and when this will be available broadly. Like I said, I don't think it's been solicited in previews. I don't know if there's an intent to. So your mileage may vary there as to how accessible it is. I hope it's widely accessible, but where there's a will, there's a way. Our listeners tend to be pretty hardcore. So if there's something that they want to get, they can generally get their hands on it some way, some point. So I'm sure you'll be able to get your hands on it. And when I know more, I know actually Brandon listens to the show fairly frequently, and I assume at least when we talk about his stuff. So maybe he'll hit me up and let me know how readily available this will be. But definitely check it out. It's really great, thought provoking stuff. So again, it's called Moonray, Book 1, Mother's Skin by Brandon Graham and Xurxo Penalta.
There was a couple things that dissuaded me from getting on that Kickstarter. Yeah, the video game thing kind of... I've read a lot of video game related books, most created from an existing video game, but a couple that were explorations of games to come. And I don't know, it just kind of scared me off a little bit. But the Brandon Graham thing and the Xurxo thing was like, man, I really should get this. But I thought the price was a little high. For the book.
I don't even remember. Honestly, when it's Brandon Graham, I'm just like, click.
Yeah, but I think the volume was like $70, maybe.
Nah, dude.
Yeah, no. I don't know. It was up there.
Hold on a second. Nah, come on, wait.
Maybe I'm just.
I'll look it up. I can look it up.
But I should have ordered it, and then you know what's going to happen. I'll tell you exactly. I'm going to get to your house. You're going to have it on the coffee table. I'm going to pick it up, and I'll be like, God damn, I should have ordered this thing.
Big facts.
I know, because love Brandon, love Xurxo. And I still am on record saying Graham's Prophet was one of the best science fiction comics of all time. Hands down.
For sure.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind. Yep.
Hold on, pulling it up right now. 1 second here.
So there you go.
Hold on. Let's see. They don't make it easy once a thing has been funded, it's harder to figure out. Like,
yeah, watch. It's going to be like something like 35, and I'm look like an ass. But it's not the first time.
So fun. Literally, I just got to the point. $35.
Yeah, see? Yeah, that's how I roll.
160 full color page of mind-melting science fiction fantasy comic delivered straight to your door for $35 US.
Can you still order it through BackerKit? Like, is it connected to that?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
See what happens. If you can
order,
order,
it was 50 for the signed version and 100 for the sign and the sketch. So,
yeah. So if you can order it through BackerKit, get it, and I'll shoot you some money. Like if they allow existing backers to order another or whatever.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, it
No,
does.
but it was really great. I mean, again, like, I mean, I'm a mark for Brandon. I can't think of something I haven't enjoyed that he's done in some, like, at least something. I've taken something from it that I've enjoyed. So,
and that
I love
poster,
his porn comics. I actually own all of his porn graphic novels. I mean,
nothing wrong with that.
yeah, I'm saying those are, you know, digging into the crates.
Right. The poster's huge.
Dude, I mean, I'm not a poster guy, so it's not a big deal, but the box came, and it was one of those things where, like, I just let the dogs out for the night. It was at the end of the night, and I'm like, I could open this box, see what this is, because I didn't recognize that it's Living the Line is the name of their publishing line. I didn't put two and two together. So it was like a square box. So I just took a knife, you know, to cut at the serrated.
Oh,
there was a serrated edge, like to open the box. So I'm like, I'll just trim along this, but it went too deep, and they opened it up, and I had cut through the poster. I basically destroyed the poster. I mean, now I don't really care about posters, so it didn't really bother me. But yeah, I destroyed the poster.
Oh boy.
Yeah. C'est la vie.
Yes. Sorry for your misfortune.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
What else we loving on? And by the way, if you haven't said, like, what was it, a month ago? I was saying I just wasn't. The comics was rough for me. It was and I said, but it's cyclical. You gotta push through it, because the last few weeks it's been like almost everything I've read. I've been like, oh, this is good.
Yeah, Jason's back, everybody.
No, but it is cyclical, right? It's not like a thing. It's just sometimes you're vibing with certain things, sometimes you're not, and you got to switch it up, right? Like for me, it was just like, I'm gonna take a break from the superhero stuff and just vibe on some other stuff, and it's got me right.
You were turtling for a couple episodes.
But honestly, that was more about the audio issues. I just was so depressed about that like you couldn't hear me, and it just was driving me nuts. Honestly,
What was that? You broke up.
That's not funny. That's not funny.
I still got it.
It's fitting that you or appropriate that you phrase it that way, Jason, because I decided to give something a shot that I never really got into when the version of this character was introduced. But over the weekend, and I know that I'd like to think it's from a place of love, but I know I come down hard on the DC movies because there's so much potential there, and it's always just squandered. So we watched Blue Beetle over the weekend.
Tell me you loved it.
Holy shit.
How good is it, right?
It has no right to be that good.
Bro,
I cannot expect it.
It's Holden loves it. For some reason, he was like all about seeing that. And I was, it doesn't take much for me to twist my arm to go see a movie. But I really expected it to suck. I mean, I'm like, okay, well, it's like, it's not only is it a DC superhero movie, but it's one that, like, they're not even really pushing. Like, they're kind of like, all right, we'll just release this because it's already done. But I'm with you, dude. I thought it was wonderful. And I know you're not going to take it to this level because you have a more of an affinity for these films than I do, but I think I said on the Slack, I honestly, in my heart of hearts, believe that if you released this Blue Beetle movie on the same day that you released Iron Man 1 from Marvel, this would be a better reviewed loved movie. I think they're very similar films, and I think
for sure.
This won't hold the same place because obviously that was 15 years ago and it was so revolutionary at the time. But, like, it's a pretty similar story arc, a pretty similar power set, visuals, and I thought this movie had so much heart. And it was definitely funny at times, but like, and sometimes I thought the Taika Waititi Thor movies were too funny, too corny. But like this, because of like the family element, and because he's a teen, and because it's like, or he's not a teen in this, he's more like a high school kid, or a college kid. But like, it just seemed right to me. Like it was just the right amount of humor to me. Like the whole thing worked for me, and I came away like gobsmacked at how good I thought it was.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the setting, they're down in Florida. It's just the music, the attitude, the family dynamic, and of course, the big bad, and how it's just. I was really impressed with how it all came together, and pretty much from the start, I was bobbing my head along to it, and I was feeling good. It was just. Because one of my coworkers, she was telling me she really loved it, and then of course I had to then go down this little diatribe about Ted Cord and blah blah blah. So I had to pump the brakes on that a little bit. But we talked about that, and And yeah, so I asked Renee. I was like, we got home. I think it was Saturday, and I was just like, well, we'll fire it up. And sure enough, yeah, and she dug it as well. And we've seen. I haven't seen all of them, but we've seen a couple of George Lopez's stand-ups, and I don't, I know some people can come down hard on the dude, and that's whatever. But I mean, he's made me laugh more than he hasn't. So seeing him in it was he didn't he didn't overshadow Jaime. He didn't overshadow the main character. It just he worked well in it. But I mean, yeah, the trials and everything that this kid had to face, like it was very Miles Morales. It was just that because Peter's too old at this stage, but it's just it hit that same sweet spot, and I could definitely see. So I always did, just like the legacy character of like the Atom. Like I know that these younger versions of these characters are they're trying to attract that type of reader and just give some new life into existing IPs and tweak it up a bit. But the movie was fantastic, so I figured, all right, you know what? So they just had they just started a new Blue Beetle series, and the following graduation day. I haven't read a Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle book ever.
Not even Norton?
Not even. I mean, I checked out the Norton stuff, but even unless he like shows up in a team book or something, like I've rarely read anything featuring the character, so I don't know. I didn't know I knew who Jaime was, but I didn't know anybody else. I didn't know his family. I didn't know his friends. So
Mike's the co-creator of that, right? Like, isn't he the co-creator, or am I getting that wrong?
He may be listed as the co-creator.
That'd be pretty cool.
I haven't checked. Yeah. But his name was in the credits at the end of the movie.
Nice.
So okay. I definitely saw that. So this, I believe this arc, or at least these first two issues, chapter 1 and chapter 2, are Scarab War. So that I believe that's what the title of this arc, the series, is going to be. But written by Josh Trujillo, Adrian Gutierrez is your artist, Will Quintana on colors, and Lucas Gattoni on letters. So I jumped right in. Don't know, and that's good and bad, because there's a lot here, and again, for some reason, I don't know why DC is allergic to editor's notes and letting you know where you might be able to find things, but it's a bunch of characters in here that I'm not familiar with at all. But what's neat is first couple pages into the first issue, and Jaime has to take on the Madmen, who I have not seen in a hot minute, and they look great. The colors here are popping. I dig Adrian's art style a lot, but Jaime is teaming up with Ted Kord, and Ted is in his full Blue Beetle outfit with the bug. So they're working together. Ted's basically kind of like being a mentor to him. But they're apparently, over the past couple of Blue Beetle series, I guess other scarabs, other beetles, other aliens have made their way, and other characters have been introduced. Well,
we saw that in the cartoons, right? In the
Young Justice.
Yeah, Young Justice.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, was he? It was the last season.
Yeah, the last season.
Okay,
yeah.
Which I still have to get to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's Jaime is as Blue Beetle. He's taking care of the Madmen. But there's a lot of collateral damage. But Jaime has to get back. There's trouble at a diner where he's got family, and so he leaves Ted to basically clean up the mess, which is Ted's fine with that. So Jaime gets to the diner, and there's a couple of aliens there having lunch, and some of the patrons were just not, and I mean like extraterrestrial aliens, and some of the patrons were just yelling, and they were just, get out of our town, get out of here, go back home. So Jaime is, as Blue Beetle, he's talking to Uli. She's the motherly figure of the two, and I guess Jaime has promised to protect them and keep them safe. But of course, Jaime's got other things to do. He's got to go do his superhero thing, so he can't be with them 24/7. So when they venture away from their safe home, their safe haven, Jaime isn't always going to be there. So they're going to end up being confronted, I guess. So while Jaime is dealing with that, shortly after, he meets up with some friends at the beach. Actually, the next day, where they get kind of hot and heavy and fast. We're meeting some of these characters, like Brenda, who is who we find out is Victoria Cord's, Ted's sister's new assistant, which she hasn't told anybody that that's her new gig. Xiomara as and Roma, they're the other two with the scarabs, and Bruno, who just
San Martino
seems to be he's kind of big like him, but he's the obnoxious big friend. He kind of reminds me of Grunge from Gen 13 a little bit. But the while Jaime's hanging out with his friends at the beach, Ted's back at HQ and fixing things up, tinkering with Bug. Hears something, thinks it's his sister, but the way the sounds that are emanating from behind him definitely tell him it's not Victoria. So he activates the security protocol, masks up, and some dude walks through this little laser field and calls Ted an imposter. And Ted's like, yeah, well, I don't know what the hell that means, but I got this little laser grid going on, and that's just going to cut you all to pieces. So he's like, yeah, your worthless toys aren't going to save you. And he basically slices. I mean, he's got this massive sword that he just slices Ted's chest, and now Ted's bleeding out, trying to save himself, save the lab, but homeboy, this new foe, destroys the lab, and he before this dude can kill Ted, Bug swoops down and whisks him away. No, actually, no, he doesn't. I'm sorry. Bug, when he screams for Bug, the ship basically just blasts whoever the hell this guy is, and Ted thinks, okay, that's it. But my man doesn't even have a scratch, and he's like, this is who do you think you are, Ted Cord? And Ted's like, I'm the Blue Beetle, and the dude's like, no, you aren't, and then just stabs him straight through, and then leaves him laying for dead. The second issue, though, we get it's where a little bit more familiar comes into play, and Ted is in a hospital with Booster next to him, fire and ice, and Guy is being projected from space in the room. Jaime's out in the waiting room. He's just completely, he's distraught. He's worried about Ted, and Batora comes out to comfort him, and basically just let Jaime know how strong Ted is. He's basically the best of them. But you can't. She's telling Jaime, you can't feel like it's your fault. It's not. It's just like, listen, we. She's trying to comfort him, letting him know we all blame ourselves if something like this happens. And we blamed each other because something happened years ago that fractured us. But it took Jaime. It took the new Blue Beetle to bring them all together again. So Booster's going to take Ted to a safe location somewhere in time. And then Tora asks Jaime if he wants to come with, but he's like, no, he's got to stay here. Although he is wondering why Victoria hasn't come to visit her brother. But while that's going on, we do cut back to Ted's place, and Victoria is there at the scene of the crime. And that's when we find out that Brenda, Jaime's friend, is her assistant. And we also see where the aliens, the extraterrestrials, are basically living. It's called Estrella Plaza, and that's basically where they made their home. And now all of a sudden, this dude who tried to kill Ted Cord is now after the aliens, and he's wearing armor from the Reach, so he's very familiar to Uli and her people. But Roma and Xiomara suit up, and they're going to go fight this dude. He just kind of makes quick work of them as well. But when we get to Jaime shows up a little bit too late, and Uli is not happy because, again, she feels that Jaime let her down. And the end of the issue is kind of a little bit of a gut punch for Jaime. But yeah, I thought the art was fantastic. I'm definitely checking out the third issue when that comes out, because I got to see how this. I got to make sure Ted's okay, but I got to see how Jaime handles his business here. And I will go back. If I see any of the previous Jaime collections at New York next weekend, I'll on the cheap I'll scoop them up. But this was a lot of fun. I still have questions. I'm still confused as far as who some of these characters are. But seeing Jaime try to be this young hero and save the day and live up to his mentor's expectations, and we don't have a lot of family in these two issues so far, at least not compared to the movie, but there's so many other characters to kind of latch onto that are in the background. And I was obviously, this isn't going to make me feel like those old Paris Cullen drawn issues from the 80s, but it's still it definitely feels like a Blue Beetle book. He's obviously different than Ted, because the Scarab wouldn't work for Ted like it worked for Dan Garrett. But I just think like I said, I just took a shot. Didn't want to. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to be ignorant. I don't want to pretend I know exactly what this character's all about or what he's doing. And I wanted to check out something current without digging through and going back to Infinite Crisis or anything and seeing where he started. I just want to see if I can kind of. There's a jumping on point, and I can get my and for the most part, yeah, it kind of is, at least as far as it's a new story and you can just go with it. But I definitely have some questions as far as who some of these other characters are in the book. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I am glad I gave it a shot, and it reminds me of how fun comics can be. Not everything needs to be so serious and dreary. And again, I mean, the colors on this are just popping. It's just a great looking book. I really like it a lot.
You risked it for the biscuit, and it paid off.
It did big time. And there's a little bit of a preview of the upcoming Sandman series written by Robert Venditti, art by Riley.
Yeah.
And Rossmo is these preview pages are amazing.
He's pretty good at this job.
Beautiful
I think.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got a
He's gonna stick around. I think.
Yeah, some of the I can't imagine what the hell Felix will have these pages going for. But no, these preview pages are great. When this is collected, I'll check it out. I'm trying not to.
It's a Felix guy, so I'm sure the pages are going to be. It's either going to be sold complete or it'll be like 1,500 a piece. So
you're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, because a lot of these are full pages. But yeah, I didn't want to. I don't want to try to go too deep into the whole new golden age because I know you've got Sandman, you've got Flash, you've got Green Lantern. I don't. Maybe I'll just wait for whatever oversized collection puts them all under one cover. But yeah, I this Sandman looks great, but I definitely enjoyed the Blue Beetle.
All right, Vince, this is your cue to come back into the conversation.
There you go.
By the way, Vince, guess what?
What?
Gonna see you in a week, bitch.
I knew it was coming.
Had to come.
This dick. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well,
now remind me what is your what's your most ideal beer?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Free.
No,
that's my ideal beer.
No, because sometimes you'll try one and be like, I don't like this so much. It's
not fruity.
Right. Okay.
Not chocolatey.
IPAs, right? Like
or peanut buttery. Nothing like that.
Because
no pumpkin.
You've been drinking slowly over the last few years my full fridge of beers because I stopped drinking beer many years ago. But we are, thanks to having 2 college-age kids now, this summer we pretty much depleted the beer supply. So I need to stock up for your arrival. So
that's nice of you. Anything really.
Okay.
As long as it's not a light beer.
Like cranberry lambics.
Hey, if it's free, I'll drink it. Well, you can file this under Tom Scholey was right.
Interesting. Okay, this will be an interesting conversation.
Yes, because Tom, regular listeners will know that Tom Scholey was with us last week to talk about his I Am Stan book, which was the book of the month. You would never know it because somebody forgot to put that in the show notes and on duh. So while Tom was doing his In Your Travels, I believe, he said you got to read this, and he didn't really have enough time to do this book justice. So I will try. It is called Complete the Quest, The Poisonous Library, written and illustrated by Brian McLachlan, and it's published by Imprint. I'm from what I've read, Brian is Canadian, which is awesome, right? So this book features a world called Chimeria. And it's presided over by Queen Evergreen. Okay, it's a fantasy-based book. Queen Evergreen is one of a human-like race called the Kith. Okay, but she's poisoned. She's given a book that infects her. There's a lot of metaphor in this thing. The book is hate speech. It is a book detailing why the Florins, which are a plant-based race on this Chimeria, why the Florins are so bad. You need to get rid of them. They're no good. They only cause trouble. Hate speech, right? So while she's reading the book, she actually gets infected. You can see tendrils of magic, dark magic, coming out of the book and infecting her. She's got red marks all over. Just so happens that the queen's best friend and advisor, Marisha, is a Florin. So as she's reading the book, Marisha comes over to her and she's like, yeah, well, you're a snake. I don't like you. You're nothing but trouble. And her best friend's like, wait a minute, where's this coming from? So she automatically knows there's something going on here. Long story short, the healers devise a cure. But in typical fantasy trope scenario type dealings, it requires 5 special ingredients. And these ingredients are scattered all across Chimeria. They need a star diamond, which is located in this underground kingdom called Deep Prism, which is ruled by the Goblin King Brightstone, okay? They need a blank lotus from the White Wind Desert. They need a ghost cloud, which can only be found, the sky giants keep them as pets in the High Tooth Mountains. There's a dragon lime, which is located in the Red Thorn Jungle. And then there's a bottom feeder. It's like a shrimp or a crawfish called a scrim that you can find in the saltwater shipwrecks, right? So they need these things. They need to find these objects in order to make this concoction that's going to make the queen better again. So how are these 5 ingredients obtained? That's up to the reader. As Tom said, this is a good old RPG / choose your own adventure book. I thought it was crazy. The McLachlan gives you 6 adventurers from which to choose. They are like in typical fantasy scenarios. You have Sneak, which is basically an elvish type character that's good, concealing themselves, can spot traps and pick locks. Then you get a woman called Corin, the human priest, which can dispel the undead and cast light in times of darkness. There's Javen, the elven druid, who's a changeling. He can assume the shape of animals, not magical animals, just regular animals. And the book is LGBTQI plus sensitive because there's a dragon folk named Zix. And whenever they're referred to, the they, them pronoun is used. So you get a pair of dwarfs named Krax and Tonk. They're brothers. But are they? Because the author gives you origins for these characters. Not one, but 2.
Yeah.
So you can
choose your own origin.
You can choose your own origin, or you can mix and match between the 2, or you can write your own. It's crazy. I love it. Everything about the book is customizable. I had to laugh. One of the alternate origins for Tonk is that maybe he's really Krax from the future, come back to help himself. That's really cool, right? Because you don't see his face. His hair goes over his face. And you go through the book, and there are obstacles that you must overcome. Like there'll be a double-page spread where, there's a portcullis here that could be lifted by someone that's really strong, or if you can turn into a mouse, you can sneak through it, or like depending on, and you only get to pick 3 heroes. You can't take all 5, well 6 with the 2 dwarves.
Yeah, the twin. Yeah,
you have to do 3, so you have to be very careful who you pick. If you load up on magic and you don't do brute strength, you may be at a loss. But if you load up on, like say, sneaking and the changeling, you're going to lose something if you don't have a magic user. So you have to balance your party, and the foes are really inventive. I got bookmarks in here. There's these creatures called cactuffs that they're actually anthropomorphic cacti. And you need magic or somebody really tough to beat them. And if you beat certain characters, you'll get objects, like maybe a blue pearl, okay? And then maybe 2, 3, 4 pages in the adventure, someone will encounter you that says, you know what? I can create this if you give me a blue pearl. So if you beat the character a couple pages previously, you have the resources to propel the narrative even further. But if that wasn't enough, you can actually go on side quests in this thing. Characters come to you during the adventures and say, I really need your help. I have to do this. Can you help me? And if you help them, then you go to another page. Like you page forward maybe like 30, 40 pages, and the quest takes another route. This book is great. And Jason, did you get the riddle of the Sphinx?
No.
What do you add to a barrel of water to make it weigh less?
Yeah, I don't know.
A T. If you put a T between weigh and less, it becomes weightless.
Oh boy,
it's great. That is freaking great. And if you beat this army of the undead, you get a big ruby. But then there's a character in your future you don't know that will do something to you for you if you give them a ruby. I think this book is awesome. The art style is really cool. Oh, this is what I loved. The what you have to get. What is it? The Blank Lotus from the crypt of the Witch Queen Ice Nail. But she wasn't buried in a pyramid. She was buried in a spheramid. It's a globe. So as you're in this thing, the floors shift and the floors become the ceilings and the ceilings become the floor, and you're trying to navigate this thing. It's awesome. It is amazing. Tom was so right. I'm guessing that by Jason's silence that he did not like this book.
No. So that's why I said it's going to be an interesting conversation, because I think a lot of what you said I definitely grok with. I mean, I think there's a lot to like about this book. I just think that, some things are not meant for certain readers, and this book is not my kind of thing, right? Like, meaning that, as you know, I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons guy. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I get it.
And so I think the thing that probably is the neatest thing about it, which both you and Tom praised, that it's part comic, part quest guide, sort of, where that's the part where for me it really left me wanting, because I'm just not in that mindset of like as I was reading this, I was thinking, well, if, like, let's say, for example, we had, like, for fun, had been like, oh, let's make this the book of the month after Tom recommended it. And, like, when you guys came next week, we sat around live and, like, worked through, we each picked a character, and then we worked through the scenarios, how we were going to get through the challenges. That could have been super fun. But, like, sitting by myself reading this, where I was kind of, like, upon myself to, in my head, think of a way that, like, the characters I was using would be able to get through this, having never really played D&D, so I don't have a lot of experience with that. It was just much easier for me to be like, oh, I'm just gonna turn the page, like I got through it. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm just not wired to, like, be into that, especially if it's not collaborative. Yeah. So for me, it just felt like a little. It felt more quest guide than it felt like comic to me. But, like, as I was reading it, I kept thinking, like, well, it's really clever, and like you said to me, it's certainly very inclusive and very modern, and, like, the attention to detail of, like, the being able to choose the background that you, or the history or backstory that you like the best, like, all that stuff was very well done. And I'm like, oh no, this is a well crafted, like, labor of love. That, I mean, they really do check all the boxes. It's just that I think it checks the boxes for something that I'm not generally too into, is all, so, like, I wasn't going to trash the book by any means, because I'm like, oh no, I can recognize this is, like, a really well done thing, but I don't care enough about, like, that ethos to like have it be my thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, like, it wasn't my thing, but, like, I definitely can see why someone who likes role playing games and the like you do would love it.
And I do. I love it.
No, for sure.
Much.
Yeah. And I will say, I mean, like, and I don't know if you took. I mean, I thought that this was. It read to me like it was definitely geared towards very young people. Like it was definitely, like, written in such a way that it was more for, like, middle school, like, young YA versus, like, all ages, which again is fine. Right. I mean, there's plenty of YA books that I've enjoyed and talked about on the show. Like, again, I'm not saying as a criticism, but I felt like, okay, this is like a YA D&D type of a thing, a love letter to that, and, like, that's cool. And yeah, so, like, I mean, I think I compared this, as I was reading it, to Meanwhile, the Jason Shiga book,
right?
Just because that really is a choose your own adventure book, but it's purely that, like, you turn the page based on the choice you make, and it's all there for you. And for me, that was more rewarding, because, again, like, I don't have, like, the nostalgic pull of, like, sitting there and, like, solving for this like I would if I had played D&D over the years,
Right.
So,
well, I think that's the thing. I have a very long history with role-playing games.
Yeah, of course.
And I love
Tom does,
Yeah, I love the fantasy genre.
Right.
So it was definitely geared to my sensibilities. But
yeah.
But it's just like I don't think the author pulled any punches either. I know this is a YA book, but, like, as far as, like, say, Blade, the Flowerkin. She can shoot arrows at enemies who are far away or sneak up to dagger them from behind. Like, he doesn't say stab the fuck out of them, but he does say, dagger them. What does dagger them mean? Like, stab them, Mm-hmm. And when you get to the dragons and the bigger creatures, it's like, you need to kill this creature. It's not you need to put this creature down or remove this creature. The word kill is used in this book. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like, I thought that was pretty neat. But so the adventures are very well balanced, meaning that it does matter who you pick as your party, but there are ways around things if you wait long enough. Like if you can't get through one obstacle, something else will come along that will give you something similar to the thing you could have gotten at that obstacle to get. Like I think they did a really great job with balancing all of the incidents where you could lose some and still make it through the story, which was great. But if you take Corin, it's really easy because there's undead in this thing, and if you take Corin and Zix, you got it made, because then you got magic and you got ways to get rid of the undead and the creepy crawlies. You just need somebody, maybe take Javen, so you can sneak through little holes, and because there's a bunch of incidents where you have to get across a river that's teeming with adversaries. And how do you get across? Well, one character, if they eat this, can jump across it, but Javen can turn into a fish and swim, like, you know what I mean? Swim across and get. So there are ways around everything in this book. I just thought it was adorable. I loved it. Yeah. And I went through twice, and I shifted my party, and I didn't take any of the side quests the first time around, but the second time I did. And it just gave me that much more enjoyment to actually see the narrative from two different perspectives. It was great. Yeah, this book and it's not that expensive. It was like, what, $16?
Yeah.
Well worth the money. So complete the quest, the Poisonous Library, and there are other poison books throughout the story, and they all do the same thing. They're hate screeds against people that are different. So I thought that was great, that he's the author, McLachlan is instilling in young people that hating other people just because they're different is not a good thing, and it's poisonous. That's the perfect word for it. It's
Don't hate, celebrate.
Right. It's a very very good book. Wonderful. The art's great. It's not Where's Waldo level dense, but it creeps up on it. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in these panels. Even if you wanted to just use it as an art book and just look at all the detail of the various structures and creatures and races, I think it's just great. You got to get it. Tom was right. Lesson learned. Listen to Tom Sholey. Yeah, it's wonderful. What else do we have?
Absence Cricket's over here. He's like, I hate fantasy.
He doesn't, though.
No, I know that, dude. That's the joke. That's why he's laughing.
Yes.
There's creatures in here called centaurpedes.
It's true.
There's centipedes by way of centaurs. It's so cool.
Vince, let's bang out the real quick, because we can be quick about it. Gods, number one.
Oh yes,
because for those that play at home, we have a little Slack channel where we talk about what we're reading, so we can connect and collab and like. And Vince didn't write that he read Gods, number one. He wrote that he wrote that he read G.O.D.S. because that's how they spell it in the book. Damn boring.
Yeah,
Gods damn boring.
It was Gods damn boring. There was. Not long into the book, maybe like 4 or 5 pages, I wanted to slowly peel the skin off my face and eat it, just so I can feel some kind of something, except aside from numbness. I think it is by far Hickman's most boring work. There's nothing about this book that compelled me to finish it or to read anything that comes next. It's talking heads, pages and pages and pages of talking heads. I don't want to say I hated it, because you shouldn't hate things, but I strongly disliked it. I thought it was a complete whiff on Hickman's part. This is not a good look. Am I wrong?
So this may surprise you.
Okay.
Because you know I love Hickman.
I do.
I thought it was an absolute slog.
It's terrible. Yeah. And just
I wouldn't go so far as it's terrible, but I think one of Hickman's strengths is his first issues are usually absolute bangers. Like, they bring you in, you're like, holy shit, I gotta, dude's about to take me on a journey. And the first 4 pages of this. I'm like, oh shit, like my man's about to do some things, like he's going to play with the whole idea of like, the magics in the in the MCU with the cosmic, and I'm like, this is going to be dope. And then, like you said, like halfway through, I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is a goddamn slog. Like all these people are talking, and I don't know who half of them are, and it's like they're talking about histories. And
it's
like,
loaded with jargon.
There's no action, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about any of this.
Yep. And it's sad. It really is, because I wouldn't say it's badly written. Well, let me clarify that. If a reader doesn't derive some kind of enjoyment from something, or doesn't surrender themselves to the world just because it's so compellingly presented, maybe it is badly written. But Hickman has a way with sentence structure and dialogue and events. Like he's a very good writer. It's the first Hickman book that I couldn't even finish it. Yeah. It's just loaded with jargon. Like Jason said, people who I don't even know who these people are. It's like the guy in the 12 Days of Christmas song, right? I'm filling out these Christmas cards. I don't even know half these people. Like, what am I doing here? It's just, and to be honest, I didn't think the art was all that either.
Oh, I like the art. I think Valerio Schiti's a great artist, but again, like I think, not to say he was wasted per se, but like, I mean, he's basically being asked just to draw a bunch of people standing around talking, which is
and
a weird way to, yeah.
Well, a deft hand could pull that off, but I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe they just weren't into it. Maybe they suffered from the same condition as the reader, because there's nothing here. And I don't want to keep lumping on Hickman, but it's just very surprising when you get a writer of Hickman's caliber who just swung and missed. Like, it's just whatever.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm surprised. I mean, myself, I was really looking forward to the book, and I thought, well, this is going to be dope as fuck. But it was not. At least not to my peepers.
Yep.
C'est la vie, right? It is what it is.
Yeah. But like, I don't see. Okay. No, in this case, it's know your audience, but it's also know your publisher. This does not resonate as a Marvel book. Obviously it's in the Marvel universe, but Marvel stuff is designed to please as many people as possible. And this is targeted to a very, very specific set of tastes. And it's not like, this is not Siege or Secret Wars, or this is Hickman doing what he did on X-Men without all the good stuff. Like,
well, that's the thing. I mean, I read this and I thought, wow. I mean, like, I think this is not going to be commercially successful. I think people are going to be like, well I don't know, because again, even the name, like, God, like, it's not like this isn't like this isn't like, oh, Hickman's take on the Avengers or Hickman's take on Fantastic Four, or, like, this is just like, oh, Jonathan's doing this new thing, Gods, and so I think because it's not him staking his claim onto a classic Marvel property, I think it's gonna leave people scratching their heads. I'm
just wondering, what's the purpose? Like,
well, there must be a purpose, right? I mean, obviously, and again, we are judging it on one issue. I can't say definitively that he's not going to like pull it all together, but I just think that I normally think one of his strong suits is the first issue. I think he's great at the first issue, and I so like, to me, it's like, okay, well, if the first issue didn't grab me, then I don't know why I should expect the rest to grab me.
Right, David. There's one page that has a character speaking. There's at least 200 words.
Holy shit!
In the dialogue balloons. I didn't bother counting them, but this character is going on and on and on. It's just like, oh no, I have things to do. I know that sounds like
it was
I'm
very
super
Bendis-esque, and it was like you're telling me, not showing me. Like, you're telling me all this history with these characters, and it's like, show me, draw me a double-page spread with the history, like outlined, like where I can see it all. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is.
I think it would work, again, to get back to the previous discussion. The information in this first issue is akin to a role-playing game. He's fleshing out the scenario and the world and how stuff works and the characters and all that stuff. but it's so dense. There are, I need a word count for this issue. There's thousands of words in this issue.
Oh, for sure.
And you call me superficial and impatient or whatever, or flighty. What I don't care. It's just my investment of time and energy. I got no return on it for this issue. So it's like, well, I'm done. I'm not reading any more of this. It doesn't have the Marvel, pun intended, of his X-Men stuff. Like there's not. In part because we get Doctor Strange at the beginning, but it's largely not characters we're familiar with. Right.
Which is weird. It almost reads like an indie book. I mean, I've read a lot of Marvel comics, but I can't. Maybe these characters are known. Maybe they've been in books I haven't read, but I didn't get that sense. So
yeah, one and done. Might as well have been a one shot. Yeah.
Word.
There you go.
It happens, you know?
It sure does.
Que sera, sera.
Yeah.
Address all hate mail to me.
For real.
Big shoulders. Yeah. So
broad shoulders.
What did light your school bus on fire?
Well, this is probably a book that's not going to appeal to you because I know how you feel about this writer. But I really enjoyed it, and that is The Forged, which is written by Greg Rucka and Greg Trautmann. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, strong female character. I get it.
I know we are misogynist, but that's cool. With Mike Henderson on art, which I would think would appeal to you. This was one of those comics where it was a 3-issue first arc, but each issue was double size, so it was like a 6-issue miniseries. But I waited for the whole thing. Well, I read the first issue and I thought, okay, I'm gonna wait for this whole to be done, and it's been wrapped up. I loved it. But I'm a fan of Rucka generally. I mean, jokes aside, to Vince's point, I mean, Greg certainly does have a trope, which is he generally writes stories about strong female protagonists. So if you hate women like Vince, then it's probably not your shtick. But if you're woke and generally love your wives like Gap and I, then you might like it more. I don't know. It's it's a tricky thing, but no, I really did like it. I mean, the premise is it's sci-fi. There are these group of badass women who are called the Forged, and they're basically the Ultramarines of this space empire. They're the ones that are brought in, like your SEAL team. They're brought in to handle the jobs that no one else can handle, and they're on a ship on the way to do one of these jobs, and then everything's in service of the Empress. They keep talking about the Eternal Empress. She's the leader of their empire, certainly, and there's these gorgeous women called Cassandras, and they are like the Empress's witches and concubines. And normally these Cassandras never leave her side. They stay like a harem at the the Empire base on the home planet. But for some reason, in this particular mission, there is a Cassandra on the ship, and the captain's not happy about it. And these Cassandras are super sexy. Not only are they drawn super sexy, but they wear almost nothing, and what they do wear is very see-through. And they basically they're seductresses. As they when the Cassandra summons the captain at one point, he comes in and she lays down on a beanbag type of a thing, and she spreads her legs akimbo, and it's implied that basically she's got nothing on, so he's staring at her puss, and she's like, "Oh, are you distracted?" They play to that, and but they also have incredible power and influence, and so she basically tells him well, whatever your orders are, you're going to do this instead, and almost uses a whammy on him, kind of like the Force, to get him to agree to do this. But the long and the short of it is the Cassandras involved here are somehow involved in this plot where the mission that they're sending the Forged on is not exactly what it seems, and then things go totally tits up. The ship basically gets destroyed, and right before the Forged were sent off, before they were expected to, they were told they had to jump from the ship and go on this mission, even though it wasn't in their parameters. And it was clearly because the Cassandra knew the ship was going to get destroyed. And then hijinks ensue. Basically, they land on this hostile planet, and the planet's super hostile. Crazy space bugs, insects, monsters, the like that are trying to kill them. And it's all in the service of this secret mission they've been put on. They don't really know what they're there for, and they have to kind of figure it out on the fly as they're trying to protect this Cassandra and keep themselves alive in this crazy environment that's very hostile. And it was just a blast. I mean, it was nonstop action. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen Henderson look better, honestly, visually. Like he was made for this. This is pretty much like a Gundam story or like a Robotech story, where the people inside the suits are these like really strong badass women. Like that's basically the premise. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I really thought it was terrific. I think that they got a hit there, and I hope there's more coming. I don't know if there is. Like I said, the first arc's wrapped up and collected, but I thought it was awesome. I mean, just balls to the wall, like high adventure, sci-fi, shoot 'em up was the basic premise of this. So, if that's your vibe, you'll enjoy this for sure. Because, like I said, Henderson's art is on point in this book for sure. Like the character designs, Cassandra's, I should mention they all wear. The reason I say it's like Gundam is all the forged women, they wear like battle exoskeletons, like they have of different types. There's like the medic's got like a relatively slim suit that's equipped to heal people or heal the machines or fix the machines. There's like a gunner that's got it's basically like a walking tank. That kind of vibe. Like there's different. Very much it reminded me of like different Gundam models, and I'm sure that was the visual inspiration of it from Henderson's part. I'm sure, but yeah, I thought it was a big time winner, and I'm a fan of the Rucka ethos. Your mileage may vary, but you know what you're going to get with Rucka, and this is more of that.
Totally agree about the art. Looking at it
Nice.
now, yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
Very accomplished. Like it a lot.
for sure. Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
And you said you read 3 issues?
Yeah, it was 3 issues.
Well, I'm looking at here that there's an issue 4.
Oh, so there is more coming.
Yeah.
It was a collection. I read the collection. It was the first 3 issues.
Nice.
Cool. Okay. I mean, I'm glad to hear that because we don't get any kind of resolution in the first arc. It's like it's a cliffhanger. So
Excellent. There you go.
faux show. Don't you guys need to talk about Rick and Morty?
Sure.
I mean,
I was going to save it for the
plan.
In Your Travels, and then
You read 7 issues. Can you read?
Yeah,
No,
but-
you read 10 issues. That doesn't sound like In Your Travels.
I did. And Dap read the ongoing. But the problem with this is that if you are foolhardy enough to try and summarize the events of even a single issue, we might as well have started at the beginning because of the episode, because it would go really long. There's the events are so, it's just like the show. It's so dense and stuff is happening constantly. If it's not, directly related to Rick and Morty, something else in the solar system or whatever or dimensional is happening that impacts them. It's insane just how many overlapping narratives that this book has. It's like, I have a problem that he's laughing, but it's a big problem that now that I've fallen in love with Rick and Morty, I need to know everything about the series, the books, everything. I don't know what it is. You know how we are when we find something we really love. We have to have everything, right? You find it out, you got to get all the books, right? Now I need to know everything about Rick and Morty, and it's bad because I will read Rick and Morty now at the expense of other stuff. Do I want to talk about Rick and Morty after I've brought it up, in recent memory at least 4 or 5 times, right, on the show? But I can't help reading it. It's just so much fun that if it's not the cool concepts that is named Firer, the writer, David, do you know?
Fire, yeah.
Yeah,
Firer.
If it's not the cool concepts, there's like witty banter, or there's inside jokes, or there's Easter eggs. It's like, what? Stop. It's just a mountain of sensory triggers that are going on with this book. What I did was, like I said, there's absolutely no way to tell you, okay, this is what happened here, and then they go to here, and it's like you'd kill me if I embarked on that foolish journey. But so like, I read 3 to 9. I had read 3 to 5, but then I went back and reread them because I wanted to get a fresh take on what was going on, because everything is connected in this book. And unfortunately, I have learned that it's only 12 issues.
Yep.
It ends at issue 12. So sad. Well, I'm sure there's going to be more.
Yep.
But they'll relaunch it. But anyway, written by Alex Firer, illustrated by Fred C. Stressing and Marc Ellerby. Color art throughout by Andrew Dalhouse. And of course, it's published by Oni. So here's the deal. I'll try and encapsulate really just the big plot points.
Before you get into it, let me ask a question. Maybe Dab knows this. Are these comics based on the cartoon episodes, or are they completely original stuff?
Yes, they are. There are comments made throughout the issue. There are asides that reference,
but they're not adaptations of the episodes.
No.
It'd be like new episodes. They're like
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
They take the raw material from what I've seen so far. Okay. They take the raw material from the series and they expand upon it.
Gotcha.
So at the end of the first adventure, Rick being Rick, the total prick, took the golden. You don't need to know who these characters are. People who like the show will know. Took the golden folds, platinum fold, and niece Noelle, and shunted them off to another dimension. Why is that a problem? Because Morty is head over heels gaga for Noelle. And she kind of sort of feels the same way about him, more or less, right? So the dimension that Rick threw them all into was called Antihala. What's special about this place? It is a domain populated by gods that were killed by human hands. And wouldn't you know, most of the gods in this little pocket dimension were sent there by Rick. They call him the Ender of the Eternal, the Deocidal Irritation. And there's one god in particular that's really pissed off, and his name is Nunzabel, the Think Giver. He gave Rick all the intelligence necessary to save the universe, but Rick ended up wearing Nunzamel's head as a hat. He killed him. This is a previous miniseries called Rick's New Hat, or maybe it may have been a one-shot. But the thing is, like, that's just in like 1 or 2 issues. It goes, there's a tech bro named Glug Vronsky that is he's created in the Elon Musk mold, right? Total shithead, but he just wants to be Rick's friend, and Rick wants nothing to do with him. So he threatens him. He threatens to kill Morty. They're pulling out Morty's teeth in it. Morty goes absolutely crazy in this series and believes that Rick has possessed his brain. So he'll be doing something and he'll speak as Morty, but then he'll be like, yeah, Morty, you know you're gonna screw this up. Like he'll go into Rick mode, and the lettering in the dialogue balloon changes to Rick's lettering. It's insane, right? But this Glug Vronsky took a dog, a regular old beagle dog, and sent it into space. And the dog became the Infinidog. It's a space station. It looks like an Ouroboros, like the dog's ass is in his mouth. People live on this space station, but it's a dog in space. Like, what the hell am I reading? Vronsky, he bioengineered NFT apes. He took.
Are they bored?
One wears a fez. Like he took
so it is bored apes, yeah.
He took the NFT apes and he bioengineered them, and they follow him around. They go ook ook, like they just it's so freaking stupid. But Nunzamel makes a very, very grave mistake in that he gives Noelle a fraction of his power, and she becomes Noelle Zamel. It's so great. And she's got this cyber shit on. She's a mental mind Valkyrie. And she's also known as Teen Nunzamel. Like, I love this book so much. Nunzimel goes back in time, and it's really, really sad. And he tries to get Jerry on his side. But when he gets there, Jerry's father. Now this was really sad. Jerry's father tells him, "You know what? You think you're good enough, but you're not. Life is going to throw a ton of shit at you, and you know what? You're going to fail." In every instance, you're going to fail. And you see...
That's fucked up.
No, you see why Jerry treats Morty the way he does. Because Jerry's father treated him that way. But Morty, God bless him, doesn't let any of that get to him. But Jerry's father fucked him up. So when Nunzimel takes Jerry, turns him into a friggin' toothless zombie for whatever reason... Summer's in space in a spacesuit playing a mandolin. Like,
She's like, I'm a mandolin player now.
She's listening to mandolin podcasts as she's trying to breach the Infinidog space station, and she's
Clink, clink, clink.
like, what? It's just so bizarre that it just it's like a car crash. I have to look at it. Like, I want to see I try and figure all the stuff out. Deb, aren't these issues great? I'm not saying they're good. They're great.
It's so much fun. I believe the original Oni series that went on for a few years, like 60 issues. I think like a lot of those issues, at least the ones that I did read, were all like, it was more like an anthology. They were all self-contained issues, sometimes with two stories, and that's it. But this is like a complete ongoing with every issue continuing into the next. Even though like it says issue 7 is an all new jumping on point, but no, it's still picking up what was going on in the first 6 issues. So it's like it's so well done. I think Streising was definitely channeling Kirby with the Nunzimel.
Oh, definitely,
the model sheet, and same thing with Auntie Holla, and there's just I could separate. Yeah, I enjoy the cartoon for what it is. I mean, we watched an episode tonight before I came upstairs. There's just which was basically a Die Hard parody. And it was, and Summer was the star of that. It was fantastic. This issue, these issues here, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of inside jokes. There's even the writer is making himself laugh because there'll be something happening on a page, and you'll see a little editor's note down at the bottom, and he's just like talking about whether or not he's got to make eggs for breakfast. It's so
that's a god.
Weird.
That's the god of captions.
Oh, I'm the caption god. Yeah, that's right. So there's just there's just. It's nuts, and I mean, and of all the characters in the entire series, like he's taking Morty's math teacher, Goldenfold, as like the main villain for the first arc, and like there's just it's nonstop Goldenfold. There's more Goldenfold here in these 9 issues to date than I think there's been in the entire
in the series
60 odd episodes.
Yeah,
I just and Noelle's. We've never seen Noelle before this comic, so I mean, she's a new character. At least, well, to me, I don't know if she existed in any other previous Oni books, but as far as this is my first time dealing with Noelle. But I mean, he's got the Friar he definitely has a handle on the characters, on the Smith family, on Rick. I can hear Morty with the odd G's, odd man, and I'm so happy that this book exists, and it complements the cartoon so well. They can coexist, and you can enjoy one or the other or both. It's been a lot of fun, and I know I haven't strayed to too many of the miniseries, the spin-offs, but I definitely want to, just because the fact that the Crisis on C-137 was extremely enjoyable. I love that. So, and of course also because of Ryan Lee's art. But it's weird that a show that has been on for as long as it's been on and has only so few episodes has just a it's lousy with good comic stories. I just we're lucky. Go ahead.
No, the thing that just boggles my mind is that in the show, the quote real Rick and Morty died.
Yes,
and they've been replaced by alternate dimension Rick. And like when Summer and Morty are together, she knows that he's not her brother.
Well, because she was going to move out. She was going to leave home. She was going to run away, and Morty went upstairs and told her, he's like, listen, those two big old humps we have in the backyard, that is your brother and your grandfather from this world. And he's like, he's trying to convince her, listen, you can stick around. I'm not the brother you lost. I'm the brother that came here and stayed here. So like, don't run away. And we can make it's fine. The family's fucked up, but we're fine. And so when the series started, we had that Rick and Morty, and then a couple episodes later, there was the whole Cronenberg, because Morty wanted Jessica to fall in love with him, so he made Rick make him a love potion.
Yeah. And
Jessica, but unfortunately, because like Morty had a cold, he had the flu, that was like the one thing that could make this go haywire. And he did. He sneezes at the prom, at the dance, and now everybody is sick, but everybody is sick over being in love with Morty. They all want Morty. I mean, Principal Vagina, the jocks, everybody wants to come after Morty. And so the antidote, the anti-venom, however, the only way Rick can fix him is, or to prevent everybody wanting Morty, is he comes up with another concoction, and that turns everybody into Cronenberg creatures, and that's the entire planet now. And so Rick and Morty escape to another dimension, to the parallel Earth, and they show up at the exact time when an experiment that Rick is working on blows up in his face, killing him and Morty. So they're able to just come and slide right in without missing a beat. And according to Rick, they can only do that so many more times. There's only so many universes we can escape to, or try to fix a mistake one of us has made. And so the planet that they're on right now, the series the planet they live on now is the Earth that they've been on since the first season, but it's not the original Earth that the series started. It's just, what I enjoy about the series is that the science fiction is out of this world, but it doesn't insult the viewer and provide, and you don't have to watch every single episode, but if you do, obviously every once in a while there might be a callback to something, but it builds and it's fantastic. It hurts knowing that we have to wait so long between seasons, and I did watch the trailer for season 7, and it's going to take a minute to get used to whoever's voicing Morty does a pretty good job from what I can tell, from what I can hear. The dude voicing Rick, it's not quite there. So it's going to take, it's not enough for me to go, I'm out and fuck the show, but it's going to take me a minute. It's going to take me probably a couple episodes for me to get in, to feel comfortable with this voice after hearing Roiland do it for so many years. So it
should have got Tony. Tony's he's the perfect Rick. Jason,
it's just,
the Glug character, the tech bro, he genetically enhances a fetus, and the baby's all roided out, and he's got little tiny legs and like huge arms, but he's a libertarian. And he's got taxes don't equal liberty across his.
Hilarious.
It is so much fun. There's a god that's a booger. He's some kid in like 3rd grade picked this booger, and this is the god of preteen nose pickers or something. It's just ridiculous. Like there's like stupid concepts, brilliant concepts. It's just crazy how much information is in these books, and I just love it. Yeah. So Dap and I are on a quest. New York City Comic Con. We're going to scoop up all the deluxe edition Rick and Morty books we find.
Yep.
If we find one copy of any volume and you see dust like thrown up into the air, that's probably me and Dap fighting over the book.
Big doings.
And I can't believe I was so oblivious to this show for so long. I tried it. I just couldn't crack the code.
Sure. No. Yeah.
But once it clicked, oh my goodness! We didn't.
It took. I didn't watch it from the start. It wasn't by my barber, the woman who used to come to the house to buzz my head. She brought up the show to Renee and I, and a couple months later, we gave it a shot, and I just and it looked back. I mean, there are episodes where hopefully they go back to this, but they do interdimensional cable where it's a half hour of cartoons from different universes and different dimensions, and it's so silly and so funny, and man, you've got Mr. Nimbus, who's basically a Submariner knockoff. You've got there was some villain who showed up to fight Rick last season who's basically Magneto but with cookies, and he's got the helmet and everything. It's the weirdest. It's like they obviously, Roiland and Harmon, obviously the writers, everybody who's working on it knows pop culture, knows what makes their viewers tick, and they tap into that extremely. It's like it's very similar. I'm not comparing it because they're obviously apples and oranges, but it's the same thing that like would make you whatever it was about Community that just hooked you and kept you going. That's exact. And again, I mean, it's still a Harmon stuff, but he has that ability where he does something and it just you catch it and you ride the wave all the way through. He's extremely talented.
The ongoing is kind of strange though, because they special character profanity sometimes. Like Rick will say shit and they actually letter shit, but then other instances he'll say shit and they do S and then special characters.
Right.
Or Summer will throw the finger and they'll digitize it out. One character had a dick under a glass dome and they digitized the dick. Like, it's a mature reader's title. You can show the dick. I don't understand why some profanity gets through.
I think it's because they're trying to be. I'm guessing that they're trying to be true to the cartoon. Like, if you watch it on Cartoon Network or Adult Swim, they'll bleep out the profanities, and if you watch it on captions, they'll cross out some of the letters from the word. But if you watch it on Max, it's full fucking shit, no problem. But the captions will still be blanked out. But when Rick is coming out of one of his like clone pods or something like that, like you'll never see Rick's dick. Like that's digitized out. Like they're
thank God.
So it's right. I know, but it is so. I believe. I just feel that the comic is mimicking what they're doing on the show itself.
Gotcha. I just found it strange where
yes,
like,
100%.
Like what gets through and what doesn't. But it's humorous, to say the least. I giggle whenever I see something that sneaks under the radar, and then other things are like just commonplace things where somebody's flipping the bird. Like I didn't think that would be offensive, but in one issue, Summer's hand is digitized because she's flipping the bird. Read Rick and Morty.
That's because she's a teenager, and they don't want to show you.
Who knows?
They don't want to show a young person. But yes, absolutely. Read Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
How is Heart of Rickness? I'm going to check that out.
It's good.
When I get it.
Rick is up against another Rick that thinks he's the Rickest of Ricks because he has shunned technology. He got everything. He made everything work without the benefit of technology, so that's why he thinks he's the Rickest Rick, because Rick needs technology, and this one did it like a Luddite without it. And Beth is an evil wizard that lives in a magic sky castle.
I have one favorite episode that's just a standalone all-time favorite that I could just go back and we've gone to it a couple of times over the years, and I think Renee's tired of it now. But I'll watch that just because it cracks my ass up. But my favorite episodes tend to be when we either go to the Citadel of Ricks, because all the Ricks from all the universes got together and they just decided to basically build a station in space where that's where all the Ricks go to hang out. And that's a lot of them live there, but some of them just go there, or they'll pick up another Morty if their Morty died, and they get to loan out it. Like, you get a free ticket. Like, it's insane how wild they think these things through. But we have gotten a little bit more into Rick's origins, where he and his wife are no longer together. One universe where Beth dies, and so we see Rick. We start to understand why Rick is the way he is, and how he came to be, and why he treats friends, actual people that he should care for, why he treats them the way he does. It's just some of the just crazy, zany Rick and Morty adventures are great to watch, but I really, really do enjoy the ones where we delve a little bit into the characters' pasts and just see how they got to be where they are.
Yeah. It's like an onion, Jason. There's layers.
So many layers, like a blooming onion.
Yes.
You know what? In about 5-6 years, Jason's gonna be like, "Hey, got this new book. It's Rick and Morty. You ever hear about it? It's really good."
I'm not the one that has Venom Rises 87 on his list. So I'm never going to read another superhero comic. The big piece sucks. It's like,
I have never ever said that.
Symbiotes are the fucking bomb, yo.
I'm like,
Oh, shit.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening to this.
Man, Dap, you notice like Vince is like that. You know, they say when a shark attacks you, punch it in the nose. Like, Vince loves to dish it out, but you push back a little bit, he gets all hurt. He gets all his feelings.
You call that pushing back? Wow.
I don't know. You're wrapping up the show.
Well, I mean, in your travels, we still have. We're like 220 now, but
oh no,
that's good.
That's the best.
Oh my goodness. So, Jason, what else are you reading that's floating about?
No, I thought we were wrapping it up.
No, we don't have to.
Oh, I mean,
speak on it.
Me.
Speak on it.
You're the producer. I mean, you know,
yeah.
Right? I mean,
no, you can talk about anything you want to talk about.
Anything.
Anything.
Well, I will say that I got to show some love to. It is October, right? Which usually means, at least for some of us, that it's time to delve into the horror. And this is a book that I bought last year but didn't read, and then thought, well, I'll just save it for October of next year because it is horror, and it was time. So I read The Closet. Did you read The Closet last year?
I did not read The Closet. I don't know what this is.
The Closet was a 3-issue miniseries written by the king of horror these days, Mr. James Tynion the Fourth, and Gavin Fullerton on art. And it was, it wanted 3 issues and done. It was just he wanted to get the story out there. It's the namesake would maybe clue you into the fact that it's a premise, a play on the idea of kids being scared of the monster in their closet, right? But what's interesting about this is really more of like an existential crisis type of a thing about a family. The book basically revolves around the dad who is narrating the journey of his son being scared of the monster in the closet, and they're in a bad spot. Like the dad and the wife, the mom and the dad, they're going through it. He had committed infidelity sometime before, and they're making amends. They're still staying together, but she got a new job in Portland, and they have to drive across country. And the dad's kind of like he's got a good life, but he doesn't seem to appreciate the life that he has. And it's like you kind of get the sense that he's not loving being a dad. He's not loving being a husband, but he feels compelled to continue to do so because that's what you do. And he's having real trouble with his son's obsession with this monster in the closet. And as he's lamenting this frustration to like everybody at first he's telling a bartender this one night when he's in a bar. Then while they're doing the cross-country trip to Portland, he's telling a good buddy of his that they stay with overnight. And every person he's telling this with, basically, like, the people are like, dude, like, what the fuck's the matter with you? Your kid's 4 years old. Like, A, it's totally normal for a 4-year-old to have fears. B, like, be there for the kid. Like, support them. Like, don't be a dick about it. Like, what's the matter with you, you know? And all while this is happening, of course, like, because it's a horror comic by Tynion, like, the kid is seeing what looks to be a real monster in his closet, right? But then the dad's like, well, I really haven't tried to deal with it because we're moving. And like, so that closet's not going to be in his life anymore. And of course, you know, this being horror and we've all been there before and kind of can guess where it's going to go. Like, it's not that particular closet. It's any closet. And it kind of goes from there. And the cool thing about it, though, is it's not a conventional horror story in the sense that you find out why the kid is freaked out about the closet. And it's not at all why you think he would be freaked out about the closet. And it really is, in many ways, his dad to blame. And it's not like any kind of like, there's no like, this isn't like abuse or like any kind of creepy shit like that. Like, the dad's like a legit dad who loves his kid, but like, but his dad is to blame for the kid's fears of the closet in a way that he doesn't realize. And yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say it's my favorite thing that Tynion wrote, you know, because it was much more, it almost felt in a weird way like he was working through some demons of his own childhood. Like, it read like that. And for all I know, that's not the case at all. It could be just something that was in his mind to tell a story. But it felt like that. It felt like he was trying to work through some issues that maybe he had with his parents and his family situation. So it felt very personal. But Fullerton's art really hits the mark on this. And the choice of the way they render the monster was interesting. They render the monster almost like like the way that aliens are typically rendered, you know, Vince, like with the little skinny bodies with the giant head. It's rendered that way, but it's not completely analogous because the monster is very dark skinned and has really jagged, scary teeth. So it's not just like an alien, but it's kind of got that body type. And yeah, I found it pretty fascinating. Quick read. Not a bad way to start off the horror binge. I've got a bunch of horror books queued up for the month to dive into. So, but yeah, I'm glad I got to knock it out of my queue. It's been sitting in my iPad for a long time. So
it sounds good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, like, I'm such a fan of his work and so much of his horror that, like, I wouldn't, if someone was saying to me, hey, what should I read of his? This wouldn't be the top of the list, but a perfect little October joint, like, because I'm in the mood for horror right now.
Oh, who isn't?
Who isn't, right?
Right? We all should be.
All of us.
Well, hard sell with Dap, but that's okay.
Yeah, my man doesn't like to be scared.
So wait a minute. Now tell me about this boys spin-off thing that you were
Gen V?
Gen V.
Gen V?
Yeah. I mean, you tease a little bit saying it's extremely violent and there's
the Amazon does that thing kind of like Apple where they don't put out the whole season, but they don't do it one episode. They put out 3 episodes, you know.
Right.
The first episode of Gen V is far and away the most graphic TV episode I've ever seen.
How so?
I mean, if I tell you, it's going to ruin the fun of it.
Okay, all right. Graphic in terms of gore or?
Yeah, but yes. I mean, okay. The main protagonist of the show is so the premise of the show, right, is that this takes place in the boys' universe. It is a college for the kids with powers, right? And it's in continuity. Like, this happens after the last season of The Boys is over, right? Okay. So Homegirl's the new girl, that girl that was moving her way up the ranks. She's the CEO of Vought now. The senator is now running the school. She's the dean of the school. Everybody knows the truth about the serum, right? Like that like, you know, these kids were injected with this, their parents knew about it, that type of thing. So like, these are it was like it's Vaught's way of like controlling the narrative, right? And having these kids go to the school And at first it's kind of like got a Teen Titans vibe, where like you go to the school and there's a leaderboard for the 10 best kids, and the idea is that these kids are the best of the best, and that they're eventually going to get a chance to either be like in the 7 or another big group, another regional group. And we're kind of brought into the freshman class, like with the freshmen and the main protagonist is this young woman who controls her own blood. Like that's her power. She can do things with her own blood. And I mean, I'll say spoilers to anyone who, if you haven't watched it and you plan on it, like I'll throw the spoiler warning out but to answer Vince's question, like they flash back to her getting her powers like any, with the X-Men mutants, right? And just like with the X-Men mutants, her powers manifest when she's going through puberty, and she gets her period, and like she goes to the bathroom because she has her period, and her mom comes in to see like what's going on, and like any girl who might be like kind of freaked out about that happening and the nervousness of it in the moment, her period blood like flies out and like cuts her mom's throat. And like, so her mom's like dying in the bathroom, right? And the dad comes in to be like, "What's going on? What happened to your mom?" And so she, understandably, like freaks out and she screams and like has a panic attack because of all this going on, and she kills her entire family with her period blood. Like she fucking eviscerates her family, like slices into pieces.
It really warms my heart that you're giggling as you're telling us this.
It's crazy.
You've come a long way.
Well, this is like the boys' comic. I mean, the boys' comic is always, yeah. So that's one thing, and then there's like another scene where her roommate in college goes by Cricket, and because she can shrink, like Hank Pym, Wasp, Ant-Man type of thing. And when so this dude, that she hooks up with this dude and go back to his room and they're hooking up, and he's like, "I want you to shrink down, like play with my dick, And she's not really feeling it. She's like, "Nah, let's just I just want to be me." And he's like, "Nah, it'd be hot, like if you." So she shrinks down, and like on the screen, like is literally like a gigantic, like it's because she's tiny. It's like the whole screen's a penis, and she's like licking it, and she's like jumping up and down on it, and she's like playing with his balls. And I'm like, I can't believe this is on regular TV. Like I know it's Amazon, but it's like, this is baffling. Like, what is going on? Like, yeah. It's crazy.
It's on my must-watch list now.
Yeah. So, like, and again, it is like a college, like, drama, right? Like, the kids are up to their own shenanigans and whatever. But it's pretty crazy. And I just think, I mean, it's a pretty simple equation here. If you like the boys, I think you'll like this. But I find it interesting that you and a bunch of other people, when I mentioned it on the Slack, were like, "Oh yeah, I wasn't going to watch it," even though you liked the boys because you thought it was going to be a whole different thing. I mean, it's to me, it feels like just like the third season of the boys.
Well, the promo image doesn't do it any favors.
I know,
because it looks like a silly CW super teen show.
And like, there is that aspect to it, right? I mean, it is basically a story about a bunch of college kids trying to like find their way, but it's in the boys' universe where fucking their lives are totally fucking crazy, And,
right. Well, I think they should have hinted at some of the carnage. Just a statue with its head sheared, like yeah. That's maybe edgy, I guess, but no.
Yeah.
It just looked too teen rom-com thing, for me. But
no, it's not. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, it's not that, other than the sense that the main characters are college age kids versus the main show, obviously, it's just more grown-ups. But
big whiff on the poster.
I'll grant you that. But I definitely, I think it's fun, and Cullen loves the boys, so Beth and I talked to him, like we have a little scheduled, like we chat with him every Sunday, and I was like, "Oh, did you watch the Gen V?" And I'm like, "Let me tell you something. I'm like, I'm so glad that you're 20 years old, because if you were at home still and we were like, "Oh, let's watch Gen V," I would have been so hella uncomfortable sitting there watching this episode with you. So I'm glad we watched it separately.
Art should make you uncomfortable.
There you go.
Nice. All right. Glad you got that out of your system.
Yes. Good prompt.
Thank you for pointing the way. And I'm going to point you the way to massive savings. What? Just go to cheapgraphicnovels.com. Cheapgraphicnovels.com. It's all there. Manga, omnibus editions, collected editions. If you want it, and there's a lot of pages in a spine, chances are really good you're going to find it at cheapgraphicnovels.com for a major discount. you'll get the email after your first order. You reply to that email and you say 11 o'clock comics sent to me. They will give you free shipping on your next order. It's very, very simple. Just go there and save. While you're at it, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. Audio, video, polls, images, pages from comics every day, covers from comics every day. You get to weigh in on the book of the month, and should you decide to do so, you can join the dedicated Slack channel. We all have a big old powwow each and every day about everything under the sun. I read this. I thought it was great. I wasn't feeling it. This happened to me last week. I just bought this beer. It's great. Here's a can, and you can go out and buy it yourself. So it's like we just throw massive amounts of information at each other all day. It's a lot of fun. Patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. In your travels, I want you to read the latest issue of Gutter Hunter. It's number 3. It is, of course, produced by the man, Robin Bougie. It is, there's a whole mess of stuff in this issue. You want to know more about Hookjaw from the British Action comic? Well, there's something about that in here. There's The Cat, a revival of a Golden Age hero explicitly. There's a lot of commentary by Mr. Bougie about how mainstream comics suck and publishers rip off artists. So, you know, if you're a die-in-the-wool mainstream fan, you may take issue with a lot of what he says in here, but I don't see him throwing around a lot of falsehoods. Yes, they are on steroids, but he's right about a lot of stuff. He looks at Robert Crumb's anti-vax comic and wonders, you know, just what the hell Robert's thinking and why he would think that. There's an article on David Peter Sue from Quadrant.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he tracks this. This is a good thing about Bougie. If he likes something, again, he has to know everything about it. The past details, the present details, where this person or comic is now. He's very exhaustive in his info dumps, and he's just wondering where Peter Sue is today. And I guess he just dropped off the map. Like, family members don't even know where he is.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And, of course, the Peter Sue article is peppered with explicit imagery.
Yes.
There's Comics Gateway Drugs, where he asks through social media, what was the comic that got you into independent comics like hardcore? And, of course, you know, the usual suspects, Ralph Snart, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Robert Crumb, Usagi Yojimbo, Madman, Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. I mean, that's just what I'm pulling from the images. There's a lot more in the actual text. Yeah, it's great, and it's all hand-lettered. My man, Bougie. So if you know or you're experienced to the worlds of Robin Bougie, you know what you're going to get from this. There is an article, or a comic actually, by James Lloyd on the late Kate Worley about just how much Omaha impacted the author and what she gave him and many other people who read Omaha, and what happened to her, and like the ending that everyone knows about. But yeah, it's a very heartfelt little strip. So I mean, I love Bougie and I love what he does. I've been a Cinema Sewers fan from day one, and he's just taking the Cinema Sewer approach and he's applying it to alt comics. So get it. It's it's massive. It's like 100 and some pages, $12. Just Google Gutter Hunter, Robin Bougie, and you'll probably be taken to the his storefront and just buy it. Don't even think about it because it's really good.
I've got 2 and 3 on the way.
Oh shit!
I didn't know I missed number 2.
It's something now.
Number 3, I was like, holy crap! All right,
it'll take you a good 2-3 days of your free time to read an issue. There's a lot of information. in every one of them. Yep.
What do you think? We're going to get bumpers this weekend, Vince?
Bumpers out the wazoo.
Okay.
Yeah. We need more because
We do. It's been a minute.
yeah. I mean, we didn't get any really the last count. We got a handful, and I've used Cliff and Tony, and I've used them multiple times. So we need some fresh ones. I always go back to the Jay Lee for some reason. I think Tom. I have maybe 4 bumpers from Tom. Right? I mean,
the New York Comic Con Artist Alley list is bonkers.
Well, we need to get some that aren't represented in our archives.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying.
You know.
Before your travels, do us a favor, and however you listen to this, Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, however, leave us a review.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, we need to ask for that more. Yeah, right.
In your travels, the 6th issue came out, so this story has concluded. Peacemaker tries hard! Exclamation point.
Nice.
I've kind of dug. I'm not going to say surprisingly because the interiors, his sequentials, I haven't always been a fan of, but Chris Anka's covers for Peacemaker tries hard have been amusing until the 6th one. I'm not in love with this one, especially because the Red Bee is kind of sporting a little bit of a gut, and that's not how Steve Pugh interprets him inside the book. This is written by Kyle Starks, art by Steve, colors by Jordi Belair. 6th issue wraps up the story. It's been just a lot of fun. The art's just amazing, and it does. If you're a fan of the show, this does Starks does a good job of humanizing Christopher Smith, of making you actually give a crap about the Peacemaker and realize, and the show did that. Gunn did it with the show as well, as far as trying to explain why he is the way he is and what kind of shit ass his dad is. But this just seeing a Golden Age hero like Red Bee dealing with Peacemaker and their relationship as the last couple of issues were unfolding. There's a great moment, and man, Starks, whether he's fucking writing about ghosts haunting lesbians or sidekicks from a stuntman, or it's so weird how somebody can write one type of story and then actually make you go, oh, reading another one. It's just when Peacemaker and Red Bee are taking on Monsieur Mallah and the Brain, when there's a scene where they're in the war wheel, where Peacemaker and Bee are in the war wheel to take out the Brain, because the Brain is now in possession of Chemo's body, and he Red Bee turns to Peacemaker and says, "You asked me once how I could be positive all the time," and he talks about his time in World War II and how the boys in his squadron who all died, how they never had any kind of day again, good or bad, and so he's just decided that it would be a disservice to them if he did not make every day the most beautiful, the best thing it could possibly be, and so he's dedicated his life to living a life without regrets, and it's just one of those things where, and of course Peacemaker just cuts the moment in half by saying, "Geez, Richard, I didn't realize what a poet you were," and it's just, and then of course Red Bee does a very heroic thing, and it just, the way those pages, the way Steve draws these pages and shows the chain reaction of events. But once Peacemaker is back home, it's his birthday, and all of his friends, you can call them that, are showing up. You've got Waller and King Shark, and the rest of the Suicide Squad is over here in his double wide, waiting for him to finish flipping burgers. He's like, I even got some vegetarian options, which is basically just fucking 2 stalks of celery inside a hamburger bun. And Blackhawk, old man Blackhawk, shows up again. There's Stark's just he touched on a little bit of everything, whether it's the Suicide Squad stuff from the comics, or what Gunn was doing with the movies, or even what he was doing with the TV show. The whole series was just, it was a lot of fun. It wasn't it didn't take itself seriously, obviously, but and I wasn't really sure where it might have been going at the start with the whole Bruce Wayne dog thing, and if we were going to kind of get like one kind of story, or if it was going to be more of just different adventures that he was going to go on, and how we were going to get. It was basically just going to be 6 issues of like one shots, but no, there was an actual story here, and it was done extremely well, and when it's collected, I definitely urge you all to get it. So in your travels, Peacemaker Tries Hard by Starks, View, and Belair.
Nice. 2 things. One, because Vince was asking me about should I watched. The wifey was away this past weekend, so it was just me and my little dude. Well, not so little dude these days, but my youngest Holden. We went and saw a pretty disappointing movie on Friday night, The Creator, and then
was disappointing?
I thought so. And then on Saturday night, Holden was like, "Yo, Pops, like, you're killing me with that movie you took me to see last night. I finna want to watch something a little more upbeat, little happier. What you got for me?" So, I looked around and I finally came across on the Netflix Nimona, and I'm like, that's right. This came out a few months ago, and it's an animated movie that was originally auctioned back in 2015 or 16 by a studio, an animation studio associated with Fox, and then when Disney bought Fox, the movie got, along with lots of other stuff, got canceled and the like, and it was kind of in limbo, and then Annapurna bought it, and so it finally came to light. So it's based on a graphic novel, same title, Nimona, which came out in 2015, and got all the flowers when it came out. It was one of those books that was on all the best of lists that year and everything, and I didn't read it. I'd never read it. It's written and drawn by N.D. Stevenson, but I was at least familiar with how much the comic was beloved, so I thought, let's try this, and it was delightful. We both loved it, the movie. My understanding, and subsequent to watching the movie, is that it's very different than the graphic novel. It's quite different, both like not just animation style, but plot and everything, and they changed a lot in the movie, but I thought the movie was great. The premise is basically the namesake Nimona is a precocious young girl who becomes effectively a squire for a disgraced knight who was he kills the queen during his coronation, but not like what it was. He was basically framed to do it. He was given a sword that had a kind of like a bomb in it, and he had nothing to do with it, but the whole kingdom thinks, of course, that he just killed the queen. And so he's on the lam and a villain, and she finds him, and she becomes his sidekick, and they basically fight to clear his name and hers as well. She's a shapeshifter in the and she's like part Mystique, part Beast Boy. She can turn into any creature she can imagine with the size and shape and powers, but she also can turn into other people. So she's quite powerful, and it's really a story about like friendship and love and acceptance, and you find a lot more about Nimona's history, and she's a magical creature who's been around for hundreds of years, and really was ostracized from humanity, even though she didn't want to be. And I just thought it was really well done. I thought the characters were all gripping. It's super inclusive. Like the most notable thing is that in that regard is that the disgraced knight and the kind of like the Sir Lancelot who is the star of the main protector of the hero of the kingdom are were lovers. And the cool thing about it is like it's not like a big plot point in the sense that it's not like, oh, they're lovers. It's just like they're lovers. There's no taboo about it in this universe that the two lead knights were in love. So really cool, great animation. Definitely curious to read the graphic novel now, although again it's much different, so I'm wondering like if it's going to feel different, but thought 2 thumbs up to that. And then in terms of the comics, Drawn and Quarterly put out a book this week in my box called Blackward, Blackward. It's a digest-sized graphic novel written and drawn by Lawrence Lindell, Lindell, and it is a story of 4 young black creatives in all great friends. They're also all queer, and there's Laika, Lala, Amor, and Tony, and it's just the story of their friendship. They're part of a collective who meet at a like a community center back in the day, and then became friends ever since. And through most of the book, their attempt here is to create a new book club for inner city kids, and to try and get that going, and also create a zine because they love comics and zines. And the zine is called Blackward, like that's the name of the book. That's why the book is called that. And it's really like a slice of life book about their lives and their friendship and their interactions and the experiences they have as being black queer geeks, which is a pretty obviously like a minority group that's ripe for prejudice, and like how they deal with that, and how they rely on each other for the ability to deal with that, and sort of the societal mores that they have to deal with. But it's very uplifting and positive, though. Like they kind of like handle all of the societal issues like with aplomb, like with power and grace, and it was just a really uplifting, really powerful, very, very, I think like socially conscious story, and really well done. The art is like super simplistic and cartoony, like almost as if like for those of you familiar with Teen Titans Go, the cartoon, if you could picture 2D flat storyboards in that style, that's kind of what the art is like. But I think it worked well for this. It definitely served the purpose of the book, and I thought it was great. I'm really happy to have read it. Like I said, it's called Blackward by Drawn and Quarterly, and the creator is Lawrence Lindell. And hey, any book that has a endorsement on the front by Gilbert Hernandez is a book you need to check out.
Nice.
Real. Or what do you say? Real talk.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Hey, thank you for listening to this. We hope you come back next time. If you are heading out to New York Comic Con, please, maybe you hear our voices, or I don't know, you catch wind that we're in your proximity. Please come on up. We'll have some fun. Say hi. Maybe you'll get a hug. Who knows? You're not going to win unless you play.
Maybe you get a reach around. You never know. It depends how.
To see, you got to ruin it. Why?
No.
Why?
You're not above that.
And then, do all that stuff and say good night.
That doesn't sound like a seltzer bottle, my friend.
It is. It's
Really?
totally a seltzer. It's not seltzer. It's flavored water.
Oh.
What is the difference? There's not a whole lot of bubbles.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, there's some, but doesn't have the effervescence of a seltzer.
Oof.
Why? You need bubbles?
Oh, hell yeah.
I'll drink a diet soda that's been in the refrigerator for like 3 weeks. I don't care.
You lost me at diet soda, but
David.
Good night.
You one of them people that has to have ice in your drink too?
no, I don't use ice.
All right, it's good. Because I totally don't need ice.
Any other
Ever.
tests of acceptance you want to give me?
No, I've accepted you a long time ago. Much to my chagrin. Why? Why did I do it?
Why did we ingratiate into each other's lives like we have?
It does not make
It's
a damn bit of sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. So stupid. Like what? I must have stepped on
Felix and Oscar and Ernie all.
Seriously.
It's ridiculous.
I see here that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Street Fighter number 4 came out today.
It did, yeah.
It was not at the shop.
Damn, Tavern on the Green.
Now, see, I can't have...
Now the green.
It is. I can't have that. I cannot have that. I need it. Why didn't I see it? Maybe he didn't. Maybe he was shorted. It happens. Sometimes Diamond screws up.
Maybe because you didn't pre-order it, he didn't carry a copy.
No, I pre-ordered it.
Oh.
Yes, of course.
What's your discount there?
Not as much as other places, but enough for me.
Okay, yeah, I don't know why you're so cryptic. It's not like
because
he
doesn't give all of his customers the discount he gives me.
I see. I got you. Okay,
I want to go be trumpeting the discount and be like, "Hey, I heard on this thing that you
get that celebrity discount."
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've only been. I don't want. There was a gap, right? The DCBS gap, but I've been going to his store for like 15 years more.
Yeah.
So.
Word up.
In a minute.
Yeah. Did you say David?
Oh yeah, a while ago, bro.
Wow, didn't hear it. I guess
you guys were talking about the diet soda, and Jason is saying if there's anything else that that passes muster. So that was
nice. Well, we will be seeing each other in 7 days.
Oof! Cannot wait. I
mean,
I have to, but yeah.
Hey, I'm going to throw something out. It can be bonus content or it can be main show. Your choice, producer. But seeing as how we're going to have New York Comic Con roll up on us and the month is going to fly by, I say we do Clementine Volume 2 as the book of the month.
Done.
Easy peasy.
All right. Nice. We all going to get it. We all want to read it. We all love the first volume.
Bought it today.
It's like it's quasi horror, right? Zombies.
I don't think there's anything quasi about it. Yeah, it's horror.
Yeah. So
horror wrapped in an emotional shell.
That's right.
Yep. Maybe this book she'll come to terms with her burgeoning sexuality.
Mayhap.
Don't
That's
just
not a first, second
it's
book.
Not fun unless you react. Like that totally just takes. It's like saltpeter for me.
Wait. What reaction were you hoping for?
My dude, or something. Just let it go. That's no fun.
I would love to see her legs akimbo getting some love.
Oh my God.
The leg, but yeah.
Oh, true.
Nice.
leg akimbo.
That is beautiful. Talk about heartfelt.
It's right here.
Yep.
Halloween and Valentine's Day, all of them.
Probably just single-handedly ruined our chance of having Tilly on the show.
Right. Which brings
the one episode she listened to.
Which brings it all back to Robin Bougie, because in an issue of Cinema Sewer, he talks about an amputee porno film. And yes, go dig up that issue if you want to read about it.
Nice.
Yep. Hey, we're out of here. Tell them now we're getting no one coming up to us at New York Comic Con. Thank you very much.
No, Dan T's
or we're definitely getting them.
By the way, Dan T's a freak, man. He's a freak. I like him a lot. Like he's definitely
yeah.
As he's gotten comfortable on the Slack, he's starting to post that freaky stuff. I like it.
Freaks are good.
Yeah,
we got a lot of freaks on the Slack. And if you want,
there's a high concentration of hardcore patron supporters VOC and freakiness.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that. In aggregate, it's wonderful. Yeah. Tell them you love them.
I do. I love you all a lot more today than I did other days.
See what happens when you read fun comics?
It's crazy. Or you have good audio.
All goes back to him.
Doesn't it?
That's why we're here.
The star of their own story? Like, isn't that?
Yes. I ain't no fucking NPC.
Yeah.
That's it for that one.